Welcome to ITCC1414 Introduction to Networks. My name is Andrea Cardenas and I will be your instructor for this course, and we're actually going to be doing a 7-week course. So the class will end just like all the other classes. So this is first of 4 courses that we have at Palo Alto College. These 4 courses will prepare you to take the CCNA exam. We do not offer the exam here. We do not offer it here, but we prepare you for it here, and we offer a certificate once you complete all 4 exams. But more information about that later. The prerequisite of this course is a basic computer course. So let me tell you a little bit about this course. Information about myself. We'll look at the syllabus. We'll see general requirements, course information. We'll talk about the academy, and I will show you a challenge. Okay, so this is my information here. This is my email address, and you can also send me an email through the inbox. But I've noticed that the Cisco Academy site does not send me a notification to this email, which is where I can respond quicker. So I actually recommend that you email me at my acardenas1@alamo.edu for a quicker response. I have a Master of Science in Information Technology. I have been into computers for a minimum of 20 years. I've been teaching at Palo Alto College since 2007, and we will not have to introduce ourselves this time. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you a bit on Canvas. We have 2 different versions of Canvas. We have the Alamo Colleges, and then we have the Netiquette site. And I will start with the Alamo Colleges Canvas. So when you are ready to access the course, you would go to alamo.edu. And actually, let me show you the website. If you just type in alamo.edu, you can go directly into accessing ACES through the district website. You click Login to ACES. You type in your username and password and sign in. You will then you'll be in your Home tab, and over to the right, you'll see the Canvas area. You can just click on this image, and it will take you to the different courses that you're taking. And you are in ITCC1414, so you would go ahead and click that. And now we see the course in the Alamo College's Canvas area. Okay, so here's some information. This is the textbook that you'll need. You only need this one. There is a supplement and there is a companion, but you do not need them. All you need where you'll be submitting items and doing labs is on this study guide. So it's up to you if you get the companion, but there's a lot of information there, and you'll see that Cisco offers a lot of information online. Okay, so again, here is my email, and here's the Canvas inbox if you're using the Alamo College's Canvas, not the Netiquette. And I'll show you later on that Netiquette is preferred at this point instead of this Alamo College's Canvas. Here is a link to tutoring. So if you have any issues, be sure you contact the tutoring area. And here's, if you need information about more information about Canvas, or you need technical assistance, you can always call this number here. Okay, and then you would click here to begin, click this button here. And basically all I have in the Alamo College's Canvas page is the orientation. So please read through these items here. It tells you more about technical assistance. It tells you more about the textbooks, the tutoring. Um, please uh, follow the academic and integrity policy. That means no cheating. And here's some information. And then when you click on the last one here, it tells you to go to the Cisco site. Okay, so basically what it's telling you here is that you're going to check your Alamo College's email for a email with information about how to get into the Cisco site. So after you follow the directions, you will actually access the site at Cisco, which will look very similar to the page we just had. But if you notice, it looks just a bit different. Notice that you have Cisco up on the top left-hand corner, and Alamo Colleges has the Alamo Colleges icon. So the Cisco site has a lot of the same information, and it also has the click here to begin. So once you've gone here, you can pretty much only go to this site from now on. You don't have to go to the other Alamo Colleges site. So once you're here, go ahead and click here to begin. And now we have a course introduction orientation area here. Information if this is the first time in this course. We have student resources. We have a pre-test exam. And this is where you would launch the content that Cisco actually has available for you already. And netiquette means how you will interact with people online. And I want you to submit an introduction discussion online since we will not be meeting on campus. So let me focus first on the resources here. And actually, let me go back because I want to follow the PowerPoint because I want to look at the syllabus just real quick. Okay, so the syllabus, you will find that on the Alamo College's Canvas site. You would just go to the course and click syllabus over to the left. And again, you will see my information. You'll see the course description, you have the outcomes. Basically, it does focus, a lot of what it says is about on-campus courses, but at this point, we'll only be doing online until the end of the semester. Okay, prerequisites is important because if you intend to take all 4 Cisco classes, you have to know that you must complete the very first one before going to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. You have to go in order. You can't just skip around because basically these classes build upon each other. Okay, the textbooks, again, like I mentioned earlier, you only need the study guide. You don't need the companion or the other one, the supplement. The companion does help, but it's not necessary if you want to minimize the amount of books you purchase. Okay, we also have the supplies needed. Basically, I only recommend a flash drive because I want you to back up all your submissions just in case. It hasn't really happened much, but just in case, I would like for you to have a backup of your information, your assignments, and your work, just in case something happens. You don't need to do anything over again. Okay, minimum system and software requirements. Just be sure that you have a computer that you can install something with and that you have internet access. And Firefox and Chrome is preferred. Okay, basically it says expect to spend an additional 16 hours per week on reading assignments and from the text and other areas. This is a very intensive course. There is a lot to learn. It can be challenging because there are a lot of new terms in this course that you might not be familiar with. So just be sure that you allocate enough time to work on this class. I do say that please email me if you have any questions about anything. We also have tutors I can refer you to. So please let me know if you have any issues. I usually respond within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, attendance, that will not be an issue now since we will only be meeting online. I will only count attendance when you submit work. If you don't submit work, then that tells me that you're not participating in the course. You might not even be doing anything with the course. So that may lead to me dropping you from the course. Okay, lab assignments. We do have lab assignments where you would actually use something called Packet Tracer to simulate networks. This course will typically not use the devices so much, but Packet Tracer is really good to get you familiar with how you can connect networks. And it's a good start for all the other courses that we offer in the Cisco Academy. The Networker's Journal is basically an area, typically when you're working on a network, think about the fact that whenever you access the internet, you expect it to be working 24/7. That means that you can't have a network administrator or a network technician be there 24/7 because they need to go home and have their own lives. So a networker's journal is a way for one networking administrator or technician to share the information with the next one that comes up within the next shift to tell them what happened during the day, because anything can happen. It could have been down, they could have fixed something, they could have changed something. So you need to be sure to keep track of the things that have happened and then tell the next person what happened. So we're going to do a networker's journal, and that's going to be part of your labs. So the labs, you'll see that they have questions, and then you would have to answer them. And in addition to that, on a Word document, you would have anything that you want to remind yourself of. So maybe you had an issue of something, an issue with something. So now you're going to have in your journal that you had that issue and this is how you fixed it. Okay. We also have a study guide, and that's actually the textbook that we have. And it also has the labs that we're going to do. But typically the labs that we're going to do are going to be from Packet Tracer anyway. And that would be linked from the online content, which is what I'll show you later. But anyway, besides the labs, you have this study guide where I will assign sections for you, and it will have like matching for terms and maybe fill in the blank, things like that. And that is going to take a lot of your time, but that is about 20% of your grade right there. The labs are about 10% of your grade, and we'll see more of that in a little bit. The chapter exams are very important. Those prepare you for not only the final exam, well, there's two finals, and I'll get to that in a little bit. There's an SBA, the skills-based assessment, and then there's a multiple choice. But to prepare you for those are chapter exams. It helps you, just go through the content from the chapter in your head. But in addition, you'll see that Cisco questions are not exactly like other questions that you might see in other courses. So it's really great to really get familiar with the types of questions, or even just how they word the questions. And then when you take the exam, you'll be more familiar, and even more familiar when you're taking the certification exam. Okay, so the skills-based exam and the final exam, both of them together are 50% of your grade. The skills-based is basically something that you're going to create in Packet Tracer from scratch with the things that we've covered within the course. You're going to create a network, You're going to assign IP addresses to a couple of PCs, and you're going to set up a router. And we'll go through that in class. So you will be prepared to do this. So that's the skills based. And then we have your final, an online final. And generally it's multiple choice, multiple answer type questions. Sometimes they request that you access Packet Tracer to answer a question, but typically it's multiple choice and multiple answer. Okay, it does say that it's scheduled in the classroom, but since we're doing this class online, it will be an online exam for both of them, both the skills-based and the online. Okay, something else that's very important is that you need an average grade of 70 or greater on both of the exams to take the second course. So remember earlier I said that this is the first course of 4. You need to pass the first course to go into the second course, 1440. If you do not pass the first course, which is what you're taking now, with an average of 70 on both finals, you cannot take the second course. So let's say you made a 60 on one exam, but then you made an 80 on the other exam. That is an average of 70, so you can take the second course, the 1440. And then you still need to make a 60 minimum. So let's say that you made a 50 on one of them, but then you made a 90 on the second exam. A 50 is not sufficient for either of the exams. 60 must be minimum for each of them. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay, so here's a breakdown of everything. Earlier I told you the study guide is 20%, labs are 10%. Then we have your finals. There's the skills-based and the written, which is multiple choice and multiple answer. Both of these are 50% of your grade. And then we have the chapter exams, which prepares you for this online multiple choice, which is 20% of your grade. And that would be a total of 100. Okay, just like any other course, this is the grade scale. 90 through 100 is an A, 80 to 90, or actually 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79, 60 to 69, and on like that. But just keep in mind that if you're a CIS major, you cannot make a D in a course. That's just not sufficient. You would have to retake the course to have that qualify for the degree plan. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here are class policies, and a lot of these things you won't have to worry about since you're taking this class online. But the number one thing that I say, no matter what, in any class, all the time, is you need to respect everyone. You need to respect your fellow classmates, any guest, instructor, anytime. You need to practice respect. Okay, and since this is an online class, you can have any food and drink as you like. We don't need to worry about any of the equipment. If you have any accommodations, or if you need any accommodations, here's information for that. Here's a phone number here if you need to call. And that's just about it. If you have any issues or anything, please let me know. If it's a serious issue, then we might need to consider withdrawing. Okay, so now let's just go back to the PowerPoint. We've already covered everything in the syllabus, so let's go ahead and move on. I wanted to reiterate the fact that both final exams need to have an average grade of 70 or above. And to continue with, to continue to CCNA 2, you have to make a C or better in this course, and you have to at least make a 60 on both of them. on both final exams. Okay, so again, there are two finals. There's going to be a hands-on in Packet Tracer, and then there's going to be a multiple choice exam, the multiple choice. And it's actually a multiple choice, multiple answer, and possibly some Packet Tracer. This is an image of the textbook, the companion guide that you don't need, but it's helpful. This is an image of the labs and study guide, which is the one you really need. Okay, general requirements. Again, study guide is 20%, labs is 10%. The study guide will have stuff assigned from the lab book. And at the end of those lab assignments, there's commands. These commands are very important. So at some point, you might want to copy and paste all the commands that you get into one document, because that one document can really help with your skills-based exam, your skills-based final exam. Okay, then we have your labs and journal, which is 10%, and that will be Packet Tracer assignments. And I still need to show you what Packet Tracer is. Notes and reminders from Packet Tracer, anything that you found out, you want to remind yourself about, you want to put that in your journal. And then we have your chapter assessments. And basically, I give you many different attempts, and you have a long time limit, because I realize that not only do you have your own lives, but things might happen while you're taking the exam. You can always go back. But if for some reason you have to, walk away from the exam and the time limit runs out, you always have many more attempts to take the exam. Please take those exams just to let me know that you are still working on the class. Okay, so there's two finals again, the skills, and then we have the knowledge one, which is really the multiple choice, multiple answer. Okay, and all of that will be at the Netiquette site. And then again, remember that we have the lab assignments, the homework, and there's quizzes. Okay, so the question is, what exactly are we going to be going through in this class? We're going to be going through the basics of networking. And one of the basic things is the OSI model and the TCP/IP model. Those are reference models that we use to basically lay out what happens with data from when it goes to an application like internet, a browser, and then when it goes to the physical portion, or the physical items, which is really your, let's say, the physical items would be what? The things you can touch, like the laptop you're using, the computers, and then we also have network cables. Those are all the physical parts. And it goes down to the physical parts, but then when it gets to the destination, it will go from the physical parts right back up through this OSI model up to the application layer, which would be possibly another browser or maybe a server, that kind of thing. But more about that later though. But I have to say that this is very important for you to remember. I want you to be able to write these out exactly in order at any time. So if that means printing this out and pasting it everywhere you are, everywhere you go, you need to do that. You need to remember this. It will really help you when you take exams in the final. So I have written here, all people seem to need data processing. That is a way for you to remember these layers, A, P, S, T, and DP. A, P, S, T, and DP. All people seem to need data processing. That's just a popular way to remember these layers, but you can think of anything else if you like. There's also another way to remember the TCP/IP model, ATINA, and basically this is my middle name, Anita. So you can use that or anything that you choose to use to remember it, but there's A-T-I-N-A, Anita backwards. Okay, another thing that we will be discussing in this course is binary to decimal conversion. And basically, binary is what computers understand. Computers don't understand English. We can't just tell it something and have it do it. It only understands ones and zeros. So somehow, when you have an internet address and that internet address has 172.16.420, somehow we need to convert it in a way that the computer will understand it. So it's ones and zeros just like this. So this address down here is the same as all these ones and zeros up here. All of them separated into octets. And we'll go through that later, but I just want you to know that this is one thing that we're going to be doing, and I will create another video to help you be able to convert binary to decimal. Another thing I wanted to show you is something that we use regularly as well is the magic chart. Well, I wouldn't say we use it regularly. We use it when we do subnetting, and we're looking at about, well, I would say the binary and the number conversions would be about chapter 7. And chapter 8 is when we really get into subnetting. And subnetting is basically a way to divide your addresses into different ranges so you can organize them different ways. So let's say that, for example, let's say you have a range 0 to 255 on this /26 prefix here, and you want 4 networks, one of them for HR, one of them for IT, one of them for a computer lab, maybe another one for students or something like that. So you can divide the amount of addresses, because basically when you have a company, you have a group of addresses and you have to work with what you have. So somehow you need to organize your addresses, because generally people in HR, if you think about people in HR and the information that they have access to, they have access to everybody's salary. They have everybody's social security number. Do you want everybody to have that access? No, you don't. So you want to divide your network into different sections so that you can say, okay, well, these addresses have access to social security numbers and nobody else does. So that's just a way to separate the different areas in your company, and also implement security as well. So, but we will look at that a little bit later. And again, I'll create another video to show you how to subnet. This is an example of what you'll be looking at. And here's HR, they have 50 people, legal might have 20, and then you have some WAN connections and they just need 2. So then here's how we determined, okay, we need this range, we need this range, this one and this one. So this is just something that we're going to be creating later on. Okay, and this right here is the list of chapters that we'll be going through, and this is just actually it'll be a little bit different now. We actually have 2 chapters per week, and you'll see it in the modules. So let me just fix that real quick before I move on. Okay, as you see here, we are actually focusing on 2 chapters per week. So yes, this class is intensive. Two chapters per week. We have 1 chapter at the very end. I actually like to do some practices on the final exam, so that way I know that you are prepared for them. And I can help you with the practice, but I can't help you while you're taking those final exams. Okay, just so you know, once you complete this course and you make a 75 or better on the final exams, You will get a certificate for completing each course. And if you make, I think it's an 80 or better, you'll get a letter from Cisco congratulating you on your progress. Here I have a few questions that you might see on one of the, on all the exams really, because all the exams, see how there's circles here? You have option buttons where you can only choose one. Then you might have questions where there's squares where you can choose many of them. So please be careful on and it also says here at the end, choose 2, choose 3. Just be very careful, because if you don't choose the right amount, you're going to get it wrong by default. Eventually, and I wouldn't even say in this class, but you'll get questions like this, but just kind of expect that you will have some sort of image, and you will have to, answer a question dependent on what that image says. So just be aware of that. The labs will look similar to this. If we were on campus, you would actually, maybe not that messy, but you will be creating networks using the devices that we have. So, but you will be doing that virtually using Packet Tracer. And this is basically what it would look like too in Packet Tracer. You would have a switch, you'd have a router, you'd have a computer or a few computers connected to whatever you have. Here again, there's a couple of routers, a switch, a couple of PCs, and this is a server. When you are setting up a router, it will look similar to this. It's really all text. It's not a GUI interface like you're used to. Everything has images. No, it's text. Enable, configure terminal, interface, IP address. These are all commands that you'll need to remember, or at least you'll have in your command reference to help you with your final exam, your skills-based final exam. Okay, so the question up here is it difficult? It's not really. It's not really, if you really think about the fact that it's really only, it could be difficult just because it's new terminology for you. Because, and maybe it's not new terminology, but for a lot of people, there are just so many new terms and acronyms that it just seems difficult because there's so many new things. But I would say that while you're doing the study guide, that will really help you with those terms and acronyms. And that's why there's so much work. And a lot of times, you might be doing something, but it's like, why am I doing that? It's because we're preparing you for something later. Okay. Okay, and this is the challenge here. I want you to earn an A, but the problem is that it's just a lot of work, and I'll help you put the pieces together. But just remember that it is work. You need to spend the time to read and to practice doing the noun works. Okay, so now I want to cover the Cisco Academy site. We're going to look at Packet Tracer, and then we're going to look at the course material and the grade book. Okay, so when you actually follow the directions in the Alamo College's site, where it has the icon for Alamo Colleges on the top left, and in that last module, or in that last page where it says now to the Cisco site, you follow all the instructions. It says to go to your email and then follow the directions. Then you would have made it to the Cisco site. And a lot of you have already done that, and that's really great. Once you get to this site, you can just go ahead and click here to begin, and you will look at the content. You can go ahead and read the content in first time in this course. Well, one thing I do want to point out is the student resources area, because that is where you'll be downloading the software that you need. It's Packet Tracer. So here's a Packet Tracer course. I highly recommend you doing it so you can get familiar. You will be using Packet Tracer for the skills-based final exam. Then we also have the Packet Tracer resources. That link, this link here, will take you to the page where you can download the software. Now it's asking me to log in, so I am going to pause this for a second so that I can log in. Okay, so once I log in, I have the classes that I have here. These big squares represents the classes that I have. The class that you have will be just the CCNA 1A2. So you can go ahead. Now it's kind of weird, you don't see the image until you hover, but hover over that course that you're in and click Launch Course, and it will take you to the course content where it says you've made it. Go ahead and click here to begin. And then we'll go back to the student resources, and then we'll click on Packet Tracer resources. And here is where you can download the software that you're going to need for the course. But I know that it has Linux and Mac OS, but those are not really dependable. So I highly recommend if there's any way that you can use a Windows PC instead, I would highly recommend that. So there's 64-bit or 32-bit, whichever computer you have. So just go ahead and download and install that software. And again, in those student resources, there was that course. There's a mini course that shows you how to use Packet Tracer. Very important. Okay, in addition to that, we have a pre-test exam. If you can go ahead and take that exam just to kind of get familiar with what the course or what the questions are going to be like. And just know that it has nothing to do with your final grade. If you were to make a 10, it's not going to hurt you whatsoever. Okay, we have your launch introduction to networks. I highly recommend that you go through that. That link is generally the same as this launch for each of the chapters in these modules. So I'm going to show you that once I get to this module here. But definitely click on this and go through that content. This Netiquette Guidelines, very important for you. Again, on the syllabus, I mentioned, respecting people. We will be doing a few discussions, and I just go through these things and make sure that you're using the right internet netiquette or etiquette. So when, for example, if you use capital letters, it looks like you're shouting. And of course, just respect everyone. When you're in these modules and you scroll to the bottom, you might notice that there's a next button or a previous button. You can just go to the next page instead of going back to the modules and then clicking what you want. So here is, I already see some people submitted their introduction, but this is an introduction discussion, so you can let me know a little bit about yourself. Please do that by Wednesday night, because I want to make sure that we're all participating and everything's great. When I clicked next, we have this video that one of my fellow Academy instructors recorded, and I think he does a great job with these videos. So please watch that as many times as you like. I think they really help. Okay, and then here is that one that I wanted to show you. In the modules, it said launch chapter 1, and then it said launch the introduction to networks. Basically, that takes you to this page where you can launch the actual content. And this is the reason why you really only need the study guide, because all the content is really right there on the site. You can read I mean, if you compare this to what's on the companion has so much more. But what's here is sufficient for you to answer the questions on the chapter exams and the final. Okay, so here, you just read what it has here. You click the next button, you go to the next page. It's really great because it has videos and class activities and stuff. But just remember that you don't have to do all of the class activities. The things that are in the modules are what you really need to do. So in the modules, I have, oops, that's the, that wasn't the Cisco site. This is the Cisco site. And in the module here, I have where we launch what I was just looking at, right there. Then we have a video. I have a PowerPoint there. This is really great because it helps you get familiar with the terms. This is a quiz. It's not graded, but it's really great to kind of review what you've been learning. This study guide is what you have to turn in. This lab you have to turn in, and the chapter exam. For every chapter, you need to submit these 3 things. All the stuff up here is to prepare you for these 3 things down here. And I'll go through that in just a little bit. Okay, so back to this here. The only ones that you will have to do will be at the end of those modules here. If it's in the study guide, in the lab, or in the exam, you'll have to do it. You don't have to do, everything, because there's a lot of stuff available. So I just click the next button, and now we have a video to watch. And I think that is really great. It's a lot of good stuff in here. So just keep on, when you're ready to study, just keep on clicking next, watch your videos, do your activities, and just keep on going. But one thing I do want to point out though, is that if you were to click the X here, if you were to close this section, you can go quickly to any chapter. You can even go back to the course introduction. And another really great thing are these buttons down here. Course index actually can take you to the packet tracers, and that is what you will find in the labs when you go to the modules and you see lab 1. Let me go ahead and click lab 1, and it says go to 1244. So if I were to come back here, I click packet tracer 1244. Here's the packet tracer that you need to do. Here's the instructions. It will be a PDF. And then here's a PKA file, which you can open after you've downloaded Packet Tracer. And then you follow the directions, you save it, and you submit it in this lab here. But then you also need to do 1245. So you go back here, you close that, and now we need to go to 1245. Here's the instructions, a PDF, and here's the PKA. Go ahead and click on that, and it'll open it up. And then follow the directions, save it, and submit it to me using the lab 1 assignment here. So in this lab, you'll be submitting 2 PKA files. It says PKA, and it might be PKT or PKA. Okay. And sometimes it takes a while when you get to the packet tracer and it tells you this. You can just click OK. Or you can just cancel it out. And here's the instructions again. It should be the same as the PDF. And just follow the directions on what it says, and you can click check results. And okay, well, it's locked for you, but it'll be available for me so I can check to see what you've done and if you've completed everything. You just do file, save as, you save that file, and then be sure you know where you save it, and then you upload it in Canvas. And you'll actually see when you're here in your view, you'll see on the top corner up here somewhere. Oops. somewhere around here or where these buttons are, it'll say submit assignment, and then you can upload it. Okay, so going back to, so that was the lab there. And I also covered what the Cisco site looks like, or at least this content here. You can skip around, you can go to another chapter, and let's just look at the end here. Here's an activity. Oh wait, I saw activity somewhere. Okay, I guess not. Oh yeah, there is. There's an activity here. Many different cool things you can do here. You can just kind of, you know, check your knowledge and then check it, you know, really good stuff there. Okay, but in addition to that lab we were just looking at, there's study guide. That would be the textbook that you purchased, and it just go to page 2, and the title is vocabulary exercise. Go ahead and do all that matching. Completion exercise, do that section there. Eventually, at some point, you might see something like not network security terminology. That means you don't have to do that. And there's 2 methods of submitting this. You can just type all the answers in a Word document if you're renting the book, or you just don't want to get the book with marks on it. Or you can answer the questions in the book and scan images of those pages, but put them in a Word document and make sure they're upright and not to the side or not in order. So that is the study guide. Then lastly would be the chapter exam. You just click on the exam. You're going to see something completely different than mine here. It's going to say something like take exam. So you take it, and it's going to look just like one of the quizzes. And also remember too that you have 10 opportunities to take it. You have 5 hours. So you can just keep on practicing until you get the terms and concepts yourself. And it also counts for the grade as well. So that is about all that I have to show you. Just remember that, like in the top of the modules, these titles, it tells you what the due date is. Also, the study guide and the labs tell you as well. Even though this chapter exam is still due on the 5th, it doesn't tell you. But definitely do it by the 5th or whatever the date says on top. But also know that you can still retake it whenever, until the end of the class if necessary. It's still due on the 5th. Chapter 2 is due on the 5th again, and so is this chapter exam. The next one is chapter 12. And notice, I'm sorry, chapter 3 due on the 12th. There's 2 of them due the 12th, 2 of them due the 19th, 26th and 26th, May 3rd, May 10th, and then we have some practice exams, and then this hands-on will be due on the 15th, and so will the course feedback and the final exam. If you have any questions or any issues, please feel free to email me. You can email using the inbox in Canvas here, but I can't guarantee that I'll get that as quickly as I will get emails from the Alamo College's address, which is this one right here. Yes, it says preferred mode, and definitely I actually want to change that because I get notified instantly when you send me to this one, if you send me an email to that one. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Also know that there's a tutor, and he's actually available using Zoom. So it's a video conferencing software. You can always, I would actually just email him for now because these won't work. And if you have any technical assistance, so just let me know. And I just wish you the best in this class, and let me know if you need anything. And take care.